The One Village, One Product movement is a development program that started in Japan and is globally known as OVOP. Structured by the government but led by local residents, OVOP is based on the concept of developing one village by promoting at least one product, where regional resources such as local agricultural products, specialty products, and tourism resources are accepted not just locally but worldwide and become the pride of the region. Its basic principles are local yet global, self-reliance and creativity, and human resource development. Its practice is not limited to Japan, but has extended to many parts of the world. The origins of OVOP date back to 1979 in Oita Prefecture in Japan. Mr. Uchida says, the OVOP movement in Oita Prefecture was triggered by revitalization activities initiated by young people and women in several rural areas in the prefecture. Seeing this, Mr. Hiramatsu, governor of Oita Prefecture at the time, advocated for the activities to be integrated under the name One Village, One Product movement. That was the start. At first, the farmers constantly complained about what they didn't have. No schools, no roads, and no bridges. The governor proposed that instead of focusing on what they didn't have, they should focus on what they did have and what they could do immediately. Livelihoods in regional areas did not improve only through traditional agriculture. The more difficult life became, the greater the number of young people who emigrated to cities and urban areas, and the population concentrated in large cities. It was difficult to make a living through farming or primary industry alone, so farmers had to expand and be involved in the secondary and tertiary industries. There was an attempt to think more broadly about ways to increase income instead of depending only on agriculture as the basic industry. An initiative under a public and private partnership was created to get more people involved. It was called the Toyonokuni Development School, and it offered 2-year study groups. There were 8 study groups in the prefecture with about 30 participants at each. It was the youth in the community who decided what should be done. As a result, the program has nurtured more than 2,000 young people. Before long, OVOP expanded from promoting the value of specialty products to the whole local area. Mr. Tsuruta says, from 2001, several years after the OVOP movement began, the Beppu Hatto Hot Spring Onsen Expo, known as Onpaku, was launched. This event went on to commercialize local resources. For example, at the Takegawara Hot Spring Onsen, the old building was revitalized and made into a mechanism for attracting tourists. Another example is the creation of new products using Beppu's traditional bamboo craft techniques. In this way, Onpaku made an attempt to commercialize existing local products by adapting them to the modern era. That is what Onpaku did. Beppu has many laneways, so we trained local guides who could navigate them, and then developed new ways to utilize the hot springs, onsen, as tourist attractions. Because we succeeded in Beppu, tourist spots and small localities all over the country became interested in us and came here to study the Onpaku methodology. The Onpaku regional revitalization methodology spread to about 80 towns nationwide. While products did arise from such activities, markets still struggled to expand. This is why we refined traditional local products, then promoted and introduced them to nationwide markets. We brand and sell products under the local brand Oita Made. Improved brand power and increased overseas customers, particularly from Asia, resulted in a rapid recovery of the Beppu economy from about 2016. There are many things in localities that have gone unnoticed and abandoned. Those things should be polished to make them local treasures. I think this is exactly what Onpaku is doing, and what I would like others to do with it. In this way, the OVOP movement, born in Oita Prefecture, has continued to evolve. Currently, it has taken root and continues to thrive, having transformed from one village, one product, to one village, 100 products, and then one village, one masterpiece product. Mr. Miyazaki says, at present, Beppu is developing a one-store, one-masterpiece product project by town shopping districts to promote special and unique products for each store. By developing human resources through craftsmanship, the OVOP movement does not end as a temporary boom, but can continue and flourish. While fostering diversification, the OVOP movement has not only produced agricultural and marine products, but has processed them, created traditional crafts, and combined them with tourism and the ICT industry to further add value to local resources and build a distribution and sales network. In other words, it aims to secure a value chain. How has the OVOP movement evolved since its birth in Oita Prefecture? The OVOP movement in Japan has transformed from specialty product branding focused on local products to local branding, where the framework has expanded greatly to encompass the locality and its identity. Integrated communication, which is not just about local unique agricultural and marine products, but its history, culture, nature, lifestyle, and the people who live there, has maximized local attractiveness. This is, in effect, local branding. Local brands consist of three elements: local specialty product brands, cultural and environmental brands, and tourism brands. Let's take a look at local brands in Japan. Kamikatsu Town in Tokushima Prefecture is located in western Japan. Almost 90% of the town is covered by forests, and its declining population is aging rapidly. What has saved Kamikatsu Town is a leaf business that started in 1986. The leaf business is an agricultural business that collects and cultivates, ships, and sells the seasonal leaves, flowers, and edible wild plants that add flair to Japanese cuisine. By creating a system using ICT, and with active participation by the elderly and women, the business distributes over 300 varieties of leaves, flowers, and edible wild plants, and has grown to annual sales of $2.3 million. In 2003, Kamikatsu Town also made a zero-waste declaration. The aim was to become a society that does not produce waste, instead of one that seeks methods to deal with waste. Organic waste was composted by each household, and resource waste was classified into 45 categories, such as bottles and cans. Now, 17 years after the declaration, the recycling rate is 80%, which is 4 times the national average. Among the discarded waste, there are many things that can still be used. This manager says, anyone can take home any of the items here for free. A beer factory that was built by reusing discarded house fittings and furniture from a zero-waste garbage collection area makes craft beer using the skin of Kamikatsu's local specialty, the yuko citrus fruit, which used to be discarded. In recent times, they even have visits from overseas brewers. The leaf business, the zero-waste movement, and craft beer making have become groundbreaking business models from the perspective of finding value in things thought to have no value by branding them. The revitalized Kamikatsu Town now has 600 interns participating in various business fields, and about 30 people migrate there every year. The migrated residents have started new initiatives which have given rise to a favorable cycle of further town activation. A new form of regional promotion has arisen in Ama Town in the Oki Islands in Shimane Prefecture, which is isolated in the Sea of Japan. Ama Town faced the crises of a decreasing population and financial collapse. While undertaking financial reconstruction, it has also tried a variety of approaches to local branding. Their slogan is "Nai mono wa nai," which literally means, if there isn't, there isn't. This was promoted by the mayor at the time. It means we have nothing and we can't do anything about it. Alternatively, it can mean we have everything that is important. Rather than lament things we lack, the islanders' positive attitude can be expressed with these two sentiments. Let's refine what we do have, and if we don't have it, let's make it ourselves. One of the town's approaches was the introduction of cutting-edge frozen storage technology enabling shipping of its wealth of marine products while maintaining freshness. This has resulted in local marine products such as the white squid and Haruka brand rock oysters becoming popular in the cities and overseas. The successful branding of Sazae-kuri utilizing the local turban shell specialty and high-quality oki beef through a public and private sector alliance for community revitalization resulted in miraculous recovery from the financial crisis several years later. Along with such town revitalization, more people are returning to the islands. Okidozen High School has introduced an island study system to attract students from off the island to promote a unique, attractive education system by proactively incorporating non-island staff, and there has been a steady increase in migration of staff and students. The combination of returning U-turn and incoming I-turn residents amounts to about 100 new residents. The students say, "Having been able to attend Dozen Senior High School, I now like and am proud of my own community. Dozen is an island full of possibilities. This is absolutely the best place." An idea by I-turn residents resulted in the commercialization of fukugi tea, an herbal tea with a refreshing fragrance. While its production and processing have promoted employment of people with disabilities, the island's special sea cucumber has been commercialized as dried sea cucumber. The initiative to export it to China is taking shape under the leadership of young new residents. Such initiatives embody the Nai mono wa nai slogan and communicate the attractiveness of Ama Town, both locally and elsewhere. Kanda Town in Gunma Prefecture is located about 100 kilometers north of Tokyo. One of the mayor's ideas for town revitalization is an initiative called Patchwork Farming. This identifies a variety of local agricultural products and promotes and sells them as specialty products. The products that arise from this are screened, certified with the Kanda brand, and sold at Michino-eki, or roadside stations and supermarkets. A locally based NGO called Shizenjuku Terakoya is looking to the future of agriculture. As a setting for information exchange and technical interaction from a global perspective, it receives many young people from Japan and overseas, engages in human resource development and international exchange, and emphasizes an experiential type of agritourism. Efforts are being made to preserve and restore old streetscapes and historical buildings and promote them as a form of tourism branding. As a result of these projects, new residents are increasing. There is also a steady growth in people, both local and from overseas, who practice what they learned in Kanda, and in fans that love the town. In step with the times, 3 separate brands are being built in Japan: specialty product brands, cultural and environmental brands, and tourism brands. Collectively, these form the local brands. At present, priorities have shifted from productivity and quality improvement to how to grasp consumer needs and deliver to markets and consumers. In an effort to spread local brands, local governments are using their ingenuity, expanding to various sales channels and conducting advertising activities. Antenna shops. Local governments are establishing stores and sales booths called antenna shops. While selling specialty products and crafts, they are also helping product development and PR by surveying consumer responses, needs, and trends. Considering PR benefits and the ability to attract tourists and new residents, antenna shops managed by local governments are often located in large cities where it is easy to attract customers. These customers say, "I come here because I like Okinawan food, and this store sells a lot of ingredients not sold elsewhere. I can't travel, so I come to this store because I want to feel like I'm traveling." Michinoeki, or roadside stations. Michinoeki are facilities built along major roads which provide rest facilities and information for road users, but also aim to promote specialty products and stimulate activity in the local area. At present, there are 1,180 of these stations throughout Japan. They showcase the uniqueness of each locality, vary in scale, and are popular with travelers and local residents. This customer says, "I think the attraction is that they have specialty products only found in that area." Virtual antenna shops. The virtual antenna shop is an online shop for consumers who cannot visit producing regions, antenna shops, or michinoeki. Now it is an indispensable sales promotion method, as non-store selling requires little investment, and there is a worldwide rush of orders if something becomes topical. Due to COVID-19, such shops have assumed increasing importance as safe, secure stores. Events and local mascots. Events and mascots constitute very important elements in product and local branding PR. Periodic trade fairs increase regular fans. While an attractive mascot is not only an eye-catching device that connects a community with consumers, but also increases the ability to attract customers. If the mascot itself becomes a hit, it too can become a product. These initiatives can be achieved at a low cost. The local brand certification system. When local governments and chambers of commerce grade or certify brands that represent a locality, this can satisfy the consumer's need for trust and security, as well as differentiate products. This certification system can trigger a recognition of both identity for local people and producers, as well as product value. It can also enhance pride and ambition, and a sense of responsibility and solidarity. Onpaku as a decentralized hands-on program exhibition. Onpaku is the first step of OVOP. As such, it often starts with the production of a regional guidebook so that when consumers and locals visit other regions, they can directly interact and experience production sites, gourmet food, history, culture, nature, and people. This makes it an activity of rediscovering and re-acknowledging value that is dormant in the area. Onpaku enhances a region's added value and is garnering attention as a groundbreaking effort that leads to regional revitalization. It is currently expanding nationally and overseas. Let's take a look at how OVOP, which started in Japan in 1979, went on to expand overseas. Mr. Ueda says OVOP is implemented in various countries with different cultures, systems, and conditions. Aligning OVOP with the respective situations in countries and regions requires creativity from the people, including the government, producers, and entrepreneurs. Each One Village, One Product movement aims for unique development as OVOP for each country and region. JICA supports this development on the technical side. Now let's take a look at case studies in the three Central American countries of El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras, and one in Colombia in South America. In El Salvador, civil war and the arrival of globalism has resulted in rural impoverishment and the ongoing departure of young people for North America. Public safety has worsened due to the dominance of drug cartels, causing a negative spiral of community destruction and a population drain. Mr. Uchikawa says, in El Salvador, since the first decade of this century when they were engaged in economic recovery after the Civil War, there has been heightened interest in engaging with OVOP, not just at the individual level, but at the national level. In particular, there was positive government involvement. An OVOP implementation structure was created within the central government, and a national policy, including strategies and manuals, was formulated. In El Salvador, the whole community was involved in building a stage setting for creating and selling local resources. Their activities include a trade fair, onpaku, branding, exchanges between towns, value chain building, and impact assessments. Some projects even became model cases for neighboring countries. OVOP started as a government program, but as the benefits became clear, the producers organized OVOP local committees and began conducting it independently and voluntarily. Then local committees formed an OVOP national network and achieved independent management of OVOP. New initiatives are being taken by the national network, such as brand certification and the development of Michi-no-Ekis and OVOP antenna shops. As a movement, OVOP is progressing steadily through its various stages. Based on their success in El Salvador, OVOP initiatives started from 2010 in Guatemala, which faced similar regional problems, followed by Honduras from 2013. Guatemala has a wealth of folk crafts that take advantage of distinctive regional, cultural, and historical features, as well as gourmet food. Guatemala also had positive government involvement for OVOP and is aiming for branding as Mi Pueblo, Mi Producto, or My Village, My Product. Nationwide, departments and townships participated in this movement, conducting mutual visits, joint trade fairs, and onpaku as well as branding certification. At present, there are several antenna shops in urban areas. A future aim is to export to the so-called nostalgia market targeting Guatemalan migrants in North America. The spread of OVOP in Honduras featured proactive support from domestic private organizations. Naturally, there was also government support to help discover products and tourism resources in rural areas nationwide, and various methods are being actively incorporated for PR and sales, including OVOP trade fairs, onpaku, and the building of Michi-no-Eki. Because Honduras started OVOP quite recently, only a few towns are involved, but they are proactively undertaking innovative activities to convey the significance of OVOP, both domestically and abroad. Activities include local branding and making the attractiveness of towns visible. In Colombia, South America, a civil war that lasted over 50 years produced over 6 million refugees who were driven from their homes. There was an exodus from the villages, and with village access being broken off, the towns deteriorated, further fueling community disintegration. Mr. Matsuki says, an essential element in building peace in Colombia is community revitalization. To do this, greater social cohesion and community self-reliance became the first major goals. Mi pueblo, mi producto, mi orgullo. My village, my product, my pride became their slogan. The small town of Finlandia started the Camino del Quindío, or Way to Quindío festival, for the purpose of town revitalization in 2010. We supported the development of the festival as part of the regional revitalization project. Festival visitors increased annually to the extent that now about 200,000 tourists visit over 3 days. With increased recognition, hotel sales have increased by 300%. Cafeteria sales have seen a 200% increase, and souvenir shop sales a 150% increase. As the mayor says, over the past few years there has been a population increase, particularly of young people. This is because there has been a decrease in outflow. They used to go to work in the neighboring town. A regional development model was created as part of the regional revitalization project. That model could be rolled out nationwide if made into a formal curriculum. An OVOP Columbia course has been created to educate community people about OVOP. I have heard that despite the 2020 pandemic, almost 1,000 trainers have been trained through online classes to teach the OVOP course. In Central and South America, efforts are being made to develop OVOP as a national brand through a national campaign program to build and promote local brands. Countries implementing OVOP in Central and South America are sharing their good practices and lessons learned with neighboring countries, while further strengthening collaboration and building relationships. Mr. Honma says, "What we have seen is that even without spending much money, if local residents, initiatives, ideas, originality, and ingenuity can be utilized, then it is possible to build local brands and promote local industry. What is common to them all is people. I firmly believe that focusing on people and drawing out the pride and identity of the local people will achieve sustainable local branding." Let's aim at preventing an exodus of migrants to North America through income and employment generation with OVOP. By introducing and utilizing innovation through participation by local youth and returning migrants, let's aim to be not just the number one in mass production, but the only one leveraging local identity and uniqueness. When local branding is achieved, the local community that was in decline is then revived, and what arises is not just a simple love of one's hometown, but a civic pride that wishes to improve one's own town more actively. As local brands are built and disseminated, the local economy will take a leap forward, public safety will stabilize, and quality of life in the community will improve. What kind of new developments are possible for post-pandemic OVOP? In Argentina, amid a variety of restrictions, the government and private sectors are devising ingenious ways to continue activities. These involve a new way of doing things, like using video conferencing systems to conduct ad hoc seminars and ad hoc training. And in Japan, Mr. Mishiro says, "At present we are continuing projects while communicating new information focused around a virtual antenna shop. Despite the pandemic, the trust relationship previously created with customers has remained steadfast. There are ways to advance OVOP even in the post-pandemic period. Let's identify what we can do and take one step at a time into the future." This student from Oita says, "Since the OVOP movement started, local industries other than hot springs have arisen in this town. A new university has been established, and now I can make a living where I was born and raised. Seeing how my parents worked with OVOP, I also want to help make this town a better place. We encourage you to get together and discuss what OVOP means to your town. Maybe it is a local brand that will someday be known by people worldwide. The future of OVOP is in your hands.